Tom's going to have to just listen very closely.
Jefferson.
He's important.
Well, it makes a difference.
We're on?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Morgantown Utility Board regular meeting for Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. In our read ahead, we have minutes of the regular meeting of August 9th, 2022, as well as the special meeting from August 18th, 2022. For your review, there's no additions or deletions or corrections. Look for a motion to approve those.
I move to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of August 9th, 2022, and for the special meeting of August 18th, 2022, as submitted.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the minutes of the two meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Tom. Minutes are free. We'll now open the meeting up to the public. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the board and the staff, if you could please step up to the podium, name and address, and try to hold your comments to 5 minutes or so.
Sure. Thank you for the, sure. Hey, Steve. Perfect timing. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Rich Dennis. I live at 197 Upper Coven Creek Road in Morgantown, West Virginia. And as you can imagine, my topic is the reservoir and the potential park or recreational area that's been discussed. I'd like to start by just saying that, you know, the community out there, and I watched your meeting from the 18th, and you had some comments from Sue Elkins, and she had some comments from other people, and, you know, we're, you know, more or less on the same page as her and my friend here, Steve, and my wife, and others in our community all have real concerns about how this is being implemented. I mean, we're not informed, we're not being invited or in the discussions, and it's a little concerning to us. And we also submitted a letter to you. I think you accepted it at the last meeting. That came from Steve, where we talked about, you know, our four general areas of concern: security, safety, restoration, and that kind of stuff. And that, I hope, is on your records. I wanted to make a couple of comments, and, you know, in the end, we understand, and probably you'll agree that this is, you know, probably going to happen. But we'd like to see it done in a way that, you know, leaves our community in better shape than, say, it was even before the reservoir, because now it's the pits out there, as you might imagine. You know, we just like to really, the bottom line is we'd like to feel like we're formally included in the plans, not just kind of lip service I get from the city when we write to them, really more formal involvement with the plan. I'll also add that I actually my wife and I sold you property to build a reservoir that will be flooded. We also sold a right-of-way that will be used for maintenance on the reservoir, and we sold a construction easement. And I actually feel like it's almost a breach of contract that now, you know, I sold that under the pressure of eminent domain. We sold it on good terms with you and full disclosure, full cooperation, avoiding the whole legal procedure. And now it's a park, or going to be a park. And no one's against parks. We're just kind of against the way it's being levied upon us. We think a lot of this, you know, a lot of the issues we have could be avoided if you would just formally include us in the plan and take us as, you know, providing real valuable input. Getting back to what we sold you, that construction easement, I mean, it was sold for a maintenance right away. It's not part of a park. And if it is going to be part of a park, there's going to be another negotiation. And I think that's only fair. I'd also like to say that, you know, the discussion to use ARPA money, the American Recovery and Rescue Plan Act funds. I know the city has talked about using funds for the purposes of planning this recreational area. And again, we're not against using good federal money to plan a recreational area. But I will say this, if you look at the intent of those funds and how they're supposed to be used, it's not for planning a park. It's for investing in infrastructure to recover funding that was lost because of COVID. Although you can find lots of examples where parks are expanded and improved upon because the funds are investing in infrastructure and allowing more use of the parks, particularly during the COVID crisis, where people were encouraged to get out and about and get outside. And that's not the case here. So I really question whether the city is getting on thin ice using that money for this purpose. So I would question the city if I were you, and I certainly will. So I'll just like to conclude there by saying that the community is really concerned about this. There's very few people that are like really excited about it, but there is a spectrum. I know people that say, I can't wait to get my kayak in that reservoir. And, I want to use it too, right, for that kind of purpose. But there's a lot more people that are not into what's going on. And, our roads are atrocious. We've got people hanging out and doing drugs, and there's trespassing and littering. And the way this seems to be planned, we're just going to see more of that. And I'll just stop there and thank you for your time and listening to me. And again, hope that we formally get pulled into this process so that we can make it a better venture for you and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Just one question. I just want to ask you if you've had that same conversation with the city.
So I've been engaged in this effort since 2015. I could bring you a stack of letters Steve and I and others have written to MUB. We've written to the city.
That's what I'm asking is if you've
And
had
to
this
Boat Park.
conversation with the city.
And to Boat Park. We met with the city. Yeah,
Thank you, Rich.
I'll continue to write.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak. My name's Steve Runfola. I live across the way from Rich.
If you could give your full address for the record, please.
45 Park Ridge Drive, Morgantown 26508.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, so I'd like to second Rich on some of this stuff. When you all started having meetings with us as a group of people who lived around, we never heard a word about a park. That was nothing was mentioned whatsoever. And the first I heard about a park was about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, just rumors. I can't remember how I heard it, but I called Boat Park and they knew nothing about it. And I said, well, y'all have manpower to take care of this? No, we don't. So, right there, it makes you start to wonder. And again, I'm with Rich. I'm not as big against this thing, and I'm a big supporter of the city and the county. I'm a big supporter. So I don't know. And the lighting is another issue too. We were told by MUB that there would be no lighting except for on the dam. Now we're hearing there's going to be lights along some of the roads, 24/7 lights, which, a lot of people, I've talked to people, nobody wants lights along the roads 24/7. And we weren't told about that. So that's another issue. And I have talked to many people around going up and down Coburn Creek. I sent letters out and things, and most people have the same concerns as we do. Some people are adamantly opposed, but I would say most people are saying, we don't think they can take care of it. We have no trust that they can take care of this park. And again, we have not been like Rich says, you know, it's just like, get rid of them as fast as we can. They're kind of pesky, and we'll see you later. That's the feeling we've been getting for 3 or 4 years now, sitting right on the edge of this thing for years. And it's like, you're just a pest. So we're really getting tired of it. And I'm sorry to be like this, but you know, it's gone on for a long time, especially this park thing. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Renfro.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board? Sure. Emily?
Thank you, Emily Mazzarelli. I'm the Assistant City Manager. We have been talking about the opportunity for recreation at the Flagle Reservoir for quite some time. I know that there are definitely some concerns from the residents. We have not necessarily engaged yet with the residents because we weren't sure if this was something that was going to be possible. We do have a proposed community engagement plan that we would like to pull in the residents, talk about some of the concerns, see how we may be able to mitigate those. While there are ideas, nothing is actually designed. One of the things we have been waiting on is kind of getting all parties in agreement. We have this meeting today and another meeting tomorrow. We want to ensure anything we do put there is able to be properly managed, both from a resource standpoint, from a people standpoint, any impacts on neighboring property owners. So while there has been a lot of a lack of moving forward with any community engagement yet, I do want to at least let the board know that that is part of the process that the city would like to be able to do as part of this, not only with the neighbors, but also with the board and Bill Park and DEP and other stakeholders as we've talked about. So I did just want to, I guess, address some of that just because it has been brought up, but thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Ms. Gamble.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you all for your input. We're going to move to new business. Sorry. Oh, so we do have our other board members are attending the meeting via Tom Witt is on a Zoom, I guess, call up there. With Barbara Parton, Tom's in Maine. Barbara's on a call in here on Mike's cell phone. She's calling in from Italy. So I think it speaks to how the board feels the importance of this particular meeting. So we will move to the new business, which is the drinking water. Different awards. So I think this part of the meeting is really important and should be noted. Every moment I've prepared a few words. So every moment of every day, the MUB staff in our community is doing extraordinary things. Every time someone turns on a faucet or flushes a toilet, and every time it rains and the storm water flows, MUB is there. This takes a lot of work, tremendous commitment on both our staff and our crews. That's why I want to ensure that when our staff are recognized by an external organization, that we take the time to celebrate that and acknowledge it, both in the board and hopefully via the public. I'll begin with the water treatment plant. A few years ago, the Associated Press came to town. The purpose of that was to find issues with Morgantown's drinking water. However, what happened was they discovered that our drinking water was world class. And in fact, the headline stated that Morgantown water was among the elite. Proof that the same professionalism and competence continues today can be found in our water treatment staff being awarded the Environmental Protection Agency's area-wide optimization program award. Receiving this award is no small task. It is presented only to the select few water systems that exceed federal standards and to demonstrate exceptional dedication to preserving public health. And part of that staff, we want to take a few minutes to single out one person, and that is Mike Anderson. For 30 years, Mike worked to ensure that our area has clean, safe water. In the position of water treatment plant chief operator, Mike oversaw complex upgrades to our water plant while ensuring the highest quality of drinking water remained available across our area. Understanding that Mike shies away from the public accolades, on behalf of the 100,000 plus Erie residents that Mike silently served each and every day, I want to thank you, Mike, for 3 decades of excellence. Your dedication to service sets the standard not just at MUB, but across the water industry. So, tremendous pride that I asked members of our water treatment plant staff to step forward and be recognized.
Where do you?
Coming up here. We'll just try to get it right here. Come on up, guys.
Come on, guys.
Come on up.
The stars of the show. How do you want to do this, Chris? You want all of us in there, just get that?
I like the board there. We like to get some board. Yeah, squeeze in, so we got the squeeze in. So step back from some. All people behind.
No, staff up front.
We're gonna do it again, so. Come on, Mike, you wanna jump in? Just do it. Might be a trick, so we can- Here, come on in. Jump right here. Jump in right here. Is that gonna work for you? I board, so maybe you good? See him? You good?
Like I'm taller.
I'm moving around if you need.
Can you scoot out this right there? Now I can see everybody. Three of
Yeah, so we're good. Go ahead.
Here we go, big smile.
Step in here, you go if you don't mind real quick. All right, guys, we got. All right. Thank you, folks. All right, we'll be.
Congratulations.
That's yours to sit back with.
Didn't you up last
We're
time?
gonna do it again.
Yeah, well, that was hard.
You guys do. Okay.
I was on
We
my
appreciate it. Okay.
That was really well
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would be appropriate to say something?
We have some more words.
No, then let's wait till the end of that.
So that was the water treatment. Now let's go to the wastewater treatment plant. Rest of our wastewater treatment plants have continued a combined half-century of proven excellence in being awarded Platinum Peak Performance Award by the National Association of Clean Water Agencies. Platinum awards are bestowed to very select few wastewater treatment plants that have achieved perfect compliance with National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit requirements for 5 or more consecutive years. However, like other parts of MUB, our facilities go well beyond that standard. This year represents 25 consecutive years of perfect compliance of our Star City plant, with 27 years of perfect compliance for our Sheep Lake plant. Think about that. Half a century of operating without a single permit violation. While I can assure you that such an accomplishment is incredible within itself, there's far more to the story. The Star City plant managed to accomplish this while the plant was undergoing a very complex upgrade. The analogy is it's similar to changing a tire on a race car while it zips around a racetrack. Sounds impossible, but those guys were able to accomplish that. Staff at our facilities never faltered during the COVID epidemic. Although today with COVID fears waning, I remind you of the onset when no one knew the dangers that this virus posed. During that time and through today, when the threat remains very real, our staff continued to ensure that clean, safe water remained available to our community, and that sewage was both conveyed to the plants and treated at a world-class level. They do so knowing that the risk involved, not just to themselves, but to their families. Their actions during this time reflects distinct credit upon yourselves, your coworkers, and Morgantown Utility. You're all true community heroes, and on behalf of our community, I thank you. So now we'd like to recognize the Star City Wastewater Treatment Plant. And then we'll recognize after that the Chief Lake.
Same thing, guys.
Same thing, guys.
Let's just go ahead and do both. Since
Yeah.
Garrett will make it both.
Okay.
Everybody need-
All right. Good deal.
So,
I'll give you names and stuff.
we'll do them both at the same time. Yeah, just squeeze in here like we did last time. Artie and I could be up here.
You got, is the wall long enough down there? Craig, put all the walls.
You're almost be doing it every day.
No, we don't need to be building yet.
We will though.
Very good.
How's that? Let's see. There we go. All right. All right, here, big smile. 1, 2, 3.
Don't move. We don't know.
Chris.
Oh, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Good job. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really stellar work. I can't imagine doing anything that's right 25 times in a row. Well, that's 25 years in a row.
Yeah. We can move in there if you want.
So we have a little bit of an audience today, so I do think it's appropriate that we give those guys a little bit of a round of applause. Heck of a job. Okay, Michael? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, it's an auspicious time to have this award come in. As we've seen in the news over the last month out of Jackson, Mississippi, where they can't drink water there because of flooding. And before that issue, we're already under a boil advisory because of a lack of upkeep of their systems. It's made me, being on this board, that hits very close to home, not just because I turn on water at my house, as everybody does, but because, we're in this capacity. And the fact that we have these awards, and it shows a quarter century of excellence and investment in not only our drinking water, but then what we put back out into our environment is something spectacular. And I'm the junior member of the board and would love to, maybe from time to time in these board meetings, hear about some of the projects we've done or are doing that will help make sure every day and night the people of Montague County and Morgantown have safe potable water and are putting back water into the Mon River. That is something that, like what we saw 2-3 weeks ago with the deputy director of the EPA, is something that is clear, it's as clear as this in this bottle. It's something spectacular, and I'm proud to be a part of this, even though I think a very, very small part of this, because the professionals that are the ones that are doing this, we really, really are lucky to have an organization like this doing that type of work and keeping all Montague County residents safe.
Thanks, Eric. Well said. All right.
Yes, Wallace Road Water Line Extension Project bid tabs. Anderson Excavating is requesting this project to extend water service to a new proposed building located at the intersection of Wallace Road and Williams Road. This work includes installation of approximately 1,760 feet of 8-inch water line, which also includes about 80 feet of steel casing, a fire hydrant, and one fire service installation, and all the other necessary appurtenances. The water line will generally be installed along Wallace Road with a perpendicular crossing there at Wallace and Williams. So the board would receive the bid tabs, and we are recommending that Anderson Excavating be awarded the contract for the extension in the amount of $157,909.
I move to approve the bid from and award a contract to Anderson Excavating for the Lawless Road Water Line Extension Project, contract number 10-2022, in the base amount of $150,909, and to authorize the general manager to sign all the documents related to said contract.
A second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the Wallace Road water line extension to Anderson Excavating, contract number 10-2022 for $157,909.00. Questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Barbara, you hear it? So just saying you opposed.
Yeah.
Any opposition?
It should be good.
Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Yes.
Oh, okay, no, I voted in the affirmative.
Okay. We'll make that note. All right, we'll move now to old business. First order of business, and old business will be the Fleetle recreational facilities.
Mr. Chairman, in the board's packet is the agreement that has been worked out between MUB and the city and Oak Park. This is the same exact agreement that the city council has already approved. And I believe that it is a very well done agreement, and it serves the interests of both MUB and the city of Oak Park, and recommend it be approved.
Okay. So, if it's okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the August 31, 2022 version of the draft agreement between MUB, the city of Morgantown, and Oak Park, being the same version of said agreement as approved by the Morgantown City Council at its meeting on September 6, 2022. Wherein said agreement, MUB will authorize certain recreational facilities at the Flugal Reservoir, and authorizing the general manager to execute said agreement with a copy of the executed agreement to be included in the minutes of this meeting. Second by Barbara. So we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement for Flugal Reservoir Recreation as was presented to you when we read it. Questions on the motion?
I'd like to raise a couple of points.
Go ahead, Tom.
When I first came on the board, we were discussing and finally decided to go ahead with the installation of the dam and the construction of the reservoir for the purpose of providing high quality water to customers here that we have in the Morgantown Utility Board. And that has been our mantra from the Morgantown Utility Board's perspective as we've gone forward. It was only when the city interjected themselves into the discussion of use of the reservoir for recreation that I became a little more apprehensive about whether that could be conducted in an environmentally appropriate way. I know our board chair and vice chair have had extensive discussions with the city, have agreed to come up with this particular proposal. I've heard the concerns at both the previous meetings and this meeting from the residents of the area, and strongly encourage the city and Bow Park to actively engage with these individuals as we go forward, because they're the ones who are going to be most affected by the reservoir recreation project. But I am still going to be monitoring the development of the recreation facilities and reserve the opportunity to come before the MUB board meeting if we find that there has been default on the development or abuse of the recreational facilities as they go forward. With that, I reluctantly will agree to the agreement that's been arrived at between our board and the Morgantown City Council.
Okay,
I concur with Tom. I'm going to vote for this, but I have real reservations about the city's ability or Oak Park's ability to maintain the park once it's done. I have reservations about the use of the park, use of it as a park, as a recreational facility. I'm going to trust the agreement that's been worked out, but like Tom, I'm going to pay attention to make sure that the drinking water, the priority is safe drinking water. And like Tom, I would encourage the city to work closely with the residents involved.
One of the things that makes me very happy to be on this board is to be able to do economic development in the community. And that is I'm a practitioner of that. And I take that in a different point of view than most economic development practitioners. The previous motion we did was meat and potatoes economic development, approving a contract to run a water line to a building that's going to employ a lot of people here in Morgantown. And it's a great thing that we have this coming to town. But for me, economic development is quality of life. When you have quality of life in a community, jobs follow. And I am appreciative of multiple things about the Fleeble Reservoir and the recreation that goes in it. That one, it is safe and stable backup drinking water. I think I mentioned Jackson earlier. We saw in the Charleston area a few years back what can happen when something bad happens. So this helps us if God forbid a situation like that happens. But also, this sort of thing and the wonderful area we have here in Morgantown can be a beacon to bring people into the state of West Virginia. We are one of 3 growing counties in this state. And I think we can continue doing that to help make this state a growing state again. And this is a step in that direction that, having different types of recreation. Clearly, I don't do enough of it myself, but I know there are plenty of folks that do. So I'm grateful for the partnership with the city coming in and saying, we will spend this money to do it. And very grateful for staff and the chair and vice chair and making sure this agreement got ironed out and worked. Thank you guys for all that you've done on this. And Assistant City Manager Mazzarelli, thank you so much for your work and for the words that you said as far as bringing in some of the surrounding neighbors to make sure that there's an understanding of what this will be as an end product.
Okay. Yeah, this agreement's been a long time project. There was conversations way back in 2015 about how this might happen. So this just didn't happen overnight. And there was a lot of work involved, a lot of thought, and the bottom line for the MUB Utility Board was the protection of the reservoir. We all agree with you, Eric, that there is a great value to the recreation out there, but it can't be at the demise of the reservoir. So that's what the agreement really is doing, is protecting our investment and allowing recreation at the same time. So it was a lot of hard work, and Emily was a big part of that. So, other comments or questions on the motion that's on the board here? If not, we will take that vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the recreation agreement at the Fleetwood Reservoir as presented, say aye.
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 Okay, that motion passes unanimously. So, thanks again, and thank to all the board members for their opinions and thoughts and assistance in making this happen. We can move on then to just the project updates or project update.
Sure. The cleanup and restoration of the upstream reservoir area is ongoing. The pump around to allow for piping connections at the intake tower is also ongoing. This work has been significantly hampered due to the rainfall. We've had just a tremendous amount of rain the last, over really the last month. On August the 11th, DEP representatives visited the site in response to a communication from Kanawha Stone regarding the heavy rains received in this area. The result of the inspection of Kanawha Stone, which is MUB's permit, did receive a notice of violation. That was received on the 15th, where deficiencies related to Kanawha's erosion and sedimentation control within the site. Kanawha Stone has, they immediately began work to correct those deficiencies, and a formal response to DEP was submitted detailing those corrections. Also, the settlement monuments that are located across the crest of the dam and on the spillway are regularly surveyed for any vertical or horizontal movement. And they will use that data to determine how long the required settlement period will be and when the actual filling process can begin after all the connections are made.
That's a question. No.
Not really in order, but
How long is the pump around going to run? That's all I want to know, roughly.
It was scheduled for 2 months, however, that's been delayed because of rain.
So it's finite, in other words, it's not going to run.
Correct, no. As soon as the connection is made to the 66-inch pipe that goes under the dam, the pump around site.
Thank you. Excuse me.
wastewater treatment plant update.
Okay, the painting subcontractor should complete what's left of the work. The primary clarifiers by the end of this month. That is weather permitting. Looks like we're in a stretch for some good weather. Holman Shooty Construction has agreed to credit MUB $25,000 to not paint the aeration tank piping that we discussed in the last meeting. We anticipate we will close out our contract with Holman Shooty probably in November. Also, we did advertise for bids for a new dump truck for hauling biosolids from the plant, and we would intend to pay for that out of the contingency funds left in the project, so it won't be out of the operating funds.
Very good.
Rather than getting it done with the contingency in place.
All right, all the water lines have been installed. The contractor just has a couple sections of the water line that they still need to test. The water booster station building subcontractor is on site laying block. They should be completed in about 2 weeks. Anderson is still waiting on some material to be delivered for the completion of booster station. The water tank contractor was to mobilize this week, and I'll defer to Rich just a moment. Did they make it on yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, so they are on site, and the valve vault is scheduled to be delivered tomorrow. So the starter ring for the tank is scheduled to be delivered in mid-October. So we are moving forward as quick as we can, given the challenges with the supply chain out there. The sanitary sewer gravity line and force main has been installed for the project. The contractors also installed the new 10-foot diameter wet well at the water treatment plant lift station, and it is in service. The contractor testing the sanitary sewer mains is testing rather, and they're performing cleanup and restoration. The new MIP lift station has gravel access at this time to get to it. The new control panel disconnects and a new meter has been installed. And we are waiting for fencing and some other equipment that will be installed by MUB.
Sounds like we're moving pretty quickly now.
I believe we're doing very well. I think the contractors are doing a good job.
Update on Pocono Sanitary and Stream Restoration Project.
Okay, E.L. Robinson, they've been provided our information for the sewer and stormwater systems in the project area. On August 26th, our staff and E.L. Robinson met on site, also with their stream designer, All Star Ecology, and they walked the project area to complete field edits of the system and also look at some information on what could be some potential problem areas. E.L. Robinson is also, they're making field edits of the existing conditions, and they'll begin the layout of the new sanitary sewer and storm sewer and stream location as soon as that is completed.
Last.
And I'm sorry, yes, and the joint agreement between the city and the county and MUB is with the city attorney and the bond counsel, Tom Mayman, Steptoe and Johnson. And we expect to see that agreement at any time.
How long has it been with the city attorney?
I'm sorry.
How long has it been with the city attorney?
I'm not exactly sure. And I know that the county had requested that the city attorney draft the original agreement. And I think that request was made back at around in December or so.
Last December?
Yes,
So it's about 8 months or so.
about it, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, West Ridge Development.
Okay, in our last meeting, we discussed getting the IJDC applications, or West Virginia Infrastructure Jobs Development Council applications down to Charleston. They have been assigned project numbers, and staff will be participating. The main meeting will be in October, but there is a working group meeting, Finance Committee, Technical Review Committee at the end of September. We will be attending that meeting in Charleston. Also, letters of support have been requested from Secretary Mitch Carmichael with the West Virginia Department of Economic Development, Secretary James Bailey, who's the Commerce Secretary, and Tourism Secretary Chelsea Group. So the group that has been working together to secure funding, we all signed the letters to go down and request their support.
Office renovations.
Last week, we met with Omni Architects to discuss the workflow study. Omni also brought in other members of their team to do a thorough review of the existing building and our current HVAC system.
White Park.
Okay, the city, they've received responses to their advertisement for qualified engineering firms to complete the bridge design. Those have been shared with MUB, and we are being given the opportunity to review and comment.
Perfect. Controls.
We've had a progress meeting with Strand on August the 5th. They're getting very close to completing the first phase. There was some information that they had requested from WVU, and they just recently received that to incorporate into the first phase. And we are waiting now that they're getting that portion completed. We are talking to the other partners about where we are in this first phase. And then once that is all finished and the recommendations for phase 2, they will present to the board and talk about that, their recommendations for phase 2. So we are making progress. I do want to just point out that there's 2 things here that everyone will want to keep in mind. We're talking about flood mitigation, and we're also going to be thinking about level of service. What those costs would be, what that would entail. And that'll be a big part of the discussion, I believe, as we move forward with phase 2 with board of directors.
To review the county on board.
When we talk about on boards, I think we're going to have to wait and see what we're talking about dollar wise in phase 2 and what all that is going to be, especially as we start looking at that level of service. There was just some really, there's really big numbers here if you're talking about a whole new system, from the river, even getting back to, I'll say, to the highway. So it could be big numbers. And we also talked about, the homes in the flood zone. And I think that needs to be a big part of our conversation as well. The Strand is telling us there are dollars out there to, with FEMA, that we might want to consider as a real alternative to some of the work.
That's something I've seen in my time living in Lexington, Kentucky, that they were able to take advantage of some FEMA funds to buy up houses that were in floodplain and help mitigate those type of issues.
And that you can go back to green space. So I think there's there's going to be a whole lot to, as they say, unwrap in this box.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Is the city involved at all, Mike?
At this particular juncture, no. But as we talk about some of the in the floodplain, as that would go forward, they would be brought into that conversation.
All right, long-term control.
And we did have a progress meeting with Strand and West Virginia DEP on August 31st. They are moving forward with the modeling. It is a slow process, but it is a very thorough process. And so I think, Rich, if you have anything to add, but I think they're doing well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think things are going the way they expected. The modeling process is kind of iterative, and it takes a while to develop that model. They're really not developing the model from scratch, but updating the model that was done back in 2002. So they're still in that process, right?
Okay, the statements of qualifications from licensed remediation specialists were due on the 9th. We have also received a signed agreement from the US EPA. And so staff is currently reviewing the statements of qualifications, and we will be coming back to the board with a recommendation. Good.
Chief of Police Water.
Hey, we have met with Strand about evaluating some other alternatives, like a sequencing batch reactor technology as an alternative to constructing an additional oxidation ditch and looking at the life cycle costs of each of those processes. We expect to see a preliminary engineering report in October. And after it is completed, we will be having Strand address the board to discuss the PER and their recommendations as we move forward. We have completed engineering firm interviews, and we have selected one firm to negotiate with, which we are in fee discussions. And after that is completed, we will come back to the board with a recommendation.
Perfect. Thanks for the updates. Under your report, you have a few topics.
The municipal bond reserves, we've talked about that in previous meetings. That is moving forward. All that is the process where we recapture cash that is being held at the bond commission as security for certain bond payments. We'll be replacing those dollars with insurance policies.
How much in reserve will that require then? How much will it lower the reserve to?
The reserves, will be lowered to zero, the amount of cash, but the insurance policy will be the guarantee if a payment was missed. And that's how that would work. Now, if it would ever miss a payment, of course, the insurance would cover it, but we would have to pay that back.
Sure.
But we never missed a bond payment. I don't think we ever will.
Yeah, if you missed a payment, there's a whole lot more issues.
Yeah. We wouldn't have as much success with these larger, $85 million projects if we weren't making bond payments. So,
That's really smart. It's really a smart use of bond funds.
well, we can bring those dollars back and we can work on projects, and we'll just talk about some of these projects. Right now, we're looking at replacing a sewer line over in White Park. It was at the, I don't know if you're familiar, but over here at the little shopping center across the road, where we enter onto that side of the park, it would be right about in that general area. We'll get down from our gate all the way down through Toyota, University Toyota, under Don Knotts to the new lift station. And so that's our number one priority project that we have under design at the moment. And so we're looking at that project. Also, another project here, Simpson Street, which I have in my notes on my report. We're going to do some pipeline that we had not intended to do this year. And also, we would like to replace our 1985 model vac truck. So it's and getting something new. I think it's lived its useful life. So
Do we only have one back?
no, we have three.
Okay.
Are the other ones newer than 85?
Yeah, are they at least Clinton administration?
Well, I think our newest one is about 15 years old. So I would say our staff, our mechanics they've done very well keeping this equipment on the road. But as with everything, there is useful life, and the original truck has certainly surpassed that.
Yeah, 37 years is a long time for something that's vital as a vac truck.
Right. And when you need a vac truck, you need it now.
Yes, you do.
Can't wait on it. So again, the bond reserves, we would anticipate that being on the city council's meeting on their agenda of the committee of the whole on the 27th and for approval in October. Now there could be a hiccup here or there, with the terms of the agreement, but that might move it back. But we would think it would be a relatively good process.
Yeah.
So I mentioned Simpson Street. We are going to do some, what we consider to be emergency lining of the stormwater and the sewer mains over there. We cannot see a lot of evidence of any debris in the pipe, but we know there is an issue with settling over there. It's been challenging because school has come back into session, and that is a main route for school buses. And I think Rich had to save my life today, actually, flying down that street. We're moving forward with that contract to get them in here and get them started and make sure that that pipe is sound. And we're not having a problem. We had, not that it's in my notes, but we did have another sinkhole form over on Harrison, and we're currently working on it today. So we started today to dig down on top of it. We're gonna make repairs. We're gonna replace some pipes and crush and get in there. So I will. I've kind of gone over all those projects. I can, Rich can go if you have any more questions, he can answer those. I tried to give you a brief portion of them, but we will be moving forward with each one of the projects. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We can move on to board member issues or discussions, anything that the board would like to bring up to the staff.
I would just like to say thank you to our staff for all the work that they also did on the recreation agreement in terms of design and helping with determining safety issues, lighting, security, issues that we all share when it comes to the public using that area. So I wanted to be sure Mike and Rich and Jeff all got acknowledged also for the hours they put in and trying to work this out and get us to where we are today.
Thank you,
Yes,
Barbara.
yeah. You are correct. Thanks, Barbara, for those comments. Karen?
Should I just add a chip?
Eric, anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Dr. Tom, you okay?
He may have signed off.
He may
He
have
mentioned that he had a function.
Long Stroke Fest to go to.
Probably. Yeah.
The Red Lobster is talking about.
Okay, well, then if that's the case, then if we want to entertain a motion to move to executive session.
I move to convene an executive session of the Board of Directors under the provisions of West Virginia Code Section 6-9A-4B12 to discuss legal issues and further move that the September 13th, 2022 regular meeting of the Board of Directors be adjourned at the conclusion of the executive session.
I'll say it.
Okay, motion and second to move in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so moved. Thank you.